So, couldn't sleep. Decided that my best option was to hop on Eve real quick and make a newbie video about the different factions, considering that the new Rubicon update is coming out. So, I haven't read much on the forums, but I'm gonna say a little bit of things that I did read about the update. But let's get started with the different factions. So, you want to play Eve. You may or may not have heard different people talking about it, and you're probably overwhelmed if they have been talking about it. The problem is that there's so many things to do that when you're first starting out, your training is all jumbled up. So you end up with a character that is multi-skilled in all the different factions and is a good miner, and which is great if you're starting out because you can do a little bit of everything. But further down the line, you'll realize that you may or may not have wasted months or weeks or whatever in training for different things. Sorry, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So, the different factions. You have an option when you first start the game, and you sign in once you created your account. You get to create your own avatar. Well, capsule or whatever you want to call them. And they can be anything. Your background race doesn't matter. If you pick a Caldari or an Amarian background, that doesn't mean that you're restricted to only Amar or Caldari or whatever you picked. That's just kind of your history of your character itself. What really matters is when you first get into the game and you want to decide, hey, I want this race because it grants bonuses to this usually, or uses this type of weapons and ammo, different types, and what type of resist and tank it has. So your options are, we'll start with rookie ships. You have Amar, which would be like the Roman Empire. They are fascist almost and support slavery in the game. Actually, they do. Very, very powerful hierarchy idealist group. Then you have the Caldari. The Caldari are unique. Gallente. Awesome. And I'll get further into that. And Mimitar, which we can talk a lot about. But back to Amar. Amar use lasers. They use laser weapons, which means that you shoot beam and pulse lasers. Now, these are great because they use a crystal. Now, when you put a crystal into... Actually, I might have a ship here. Hang on, let me open up the maintenance bay. I have a Navy Harby, but I think I let someone else use it. Yes, one of my corp mates had to use when we were running sites today. But they use crystals. Now, the crystals last for a long time. Here's your standard crystals. And each crystal has a different range. Multi-frequency have the shortest range, but the most damage. Radio have the least damage, but can shoot way further than multi-frequency. And then these are all a spectrum of light, which are actual physics. Well, I don't know if it'd be physics, but they're actual light spectrums. If you are in high school or even middle school, you know about ultraviolet and X-ray and gamma, and these are all true things. Crystals, you load them in, and they don't break. They just project the light in a different way. So CCP made it to where these weapons don't wear out very fast. These crystals slowly deteriorate every time you shoot, and over a period of time, they will eventually break, but it takes a long time. You can use a set of crystals for a long time. That's why most people that fly Amar are going to be using faction crystals, more than likely Sancha, and if they bulk up the money, True Sancha. These are the faction Sancha, and then True Sancha. I think they're the best. I think True Sancha is the best, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so Amar, their tanking is armor. Armor tank is great for very large ships like the capital ships, but shield tank is very easy to perfect and can be very, very good in your smaller class ships. And I can give you a demonstration. They use these adaptive invulnerability fields. You can stack these, and each one, well, I have the Tech 2, but these grant a 30% bonus to resist and everything, and I'm pretty sure the meta ones do 25% resist. So right now with my current skills, which I have... What do I have? Shields. So, 356,000 points. I start out with 34,000 hit points. It's the Infant Annihilator. This is in a previous... this fitting here is in a previous video. If you want to see my fitting here further, I didn't talk at all because I was yet again in the morning video, but anyways. I start out with 34,000 hit points. Now, the wormhole that I'm in grants a bonus, which wormhole is going to be another video, but you use these on every ship. If you're flying a ship, you want a damage control, and you want the Tech 2 variant. When I turn on my resist, I go from 34,000 hit points to 108,000 hit points, and that's only with not even 400,000 points in shield tanking. So shields can be very, very good, but Amarr uses armor tank. Now your armor tanks, very hard to perfect, but can be one of the best. Armor tank is more difficult and can be cap stable. Most of the time shield tank isn't cap stable if you have a shield rep, but armor tank can be cap stable, and you can even be cap stable with a dual rep. Dual rep ships are very nice when you're running missions. So back to your factions here. Caldari, which is what I'm currently sitting in, are missiles. Caldari are shield tank. Missiles can be great because they have a set range. You're going to hit the same thing almost every time. And you can select the type of damage that you want to do. Now the drawback is that missiles are fairly expensive. Well, they're pretty damn expensive. Next, you have Gallente. Gallente is one of the more used factions in the game because of their high damage. Almost all these ships grant a bonus to their fire rate or tracking or damage, and it's very, very easy to get fairly high DPS when you're starting out. They use ship equipment, turrets and bays. They use hybrid weapons. Hybrid weapons are blasters and railguns. Blasters are going to be your close range, and railguns are going to be your long range. And they load standard ammunition, regular ammunition, not crystals. But you burn through it, but you get more damage than your Amarrian crystals. You're going to get more damage, but you have to pay for ammo way more than you would have to replace your crystals every couple months. And last but not least, you have Minmatar. Minmatar has Alpha Strike. Now with Minmatar, I don't fly Minmatar, but most people do because it's very easy to get huge Alpha Strike, meaning that when you hit somebody, you hit them very high. Your damage per second numbers might be fairly low, but your Alpha, meaning, yet again, how hard you hit, is huge. The only problem with Minmatar is that they are glass. Let's pull up the battleship. It's a good example of how glassy and duct tapey. Minmatar. See, these are just panels. They're literally glass and are easy to break. I mean, in game you can easily tank them, and they're shield tank. Gallente is armor tank, I forgot to mention. But they're fragile, and that's the joke in the game. But the way I was described whenever I started playing Eve, I was like, well, what race should I be? He's like, well, it depends. You know, if you want to save ammo, you go Amarr. If you want missiles, Caldari. If you want high damage but shorter range, you want Gallente. But if you want to go down a flight of stairs in a wheelchair, Kimbo Uzis screaming in some language that you don't understand, it's Minmatar. They are outright outrageous in their damage. It's crazy. If you go up against a fight like a Maelstrom Whirlwind with 1400 millimeters, you need to watch out. The range is long and the alpha is huge. So, back to when you first start, you have all these options. Do you want shield? Do you want armor? Some of them can cross over. Some of your MR ships can be shield tank, even though mostly MR is armor tank. You have all these different things, and you need someone to tutor you. So when you first get into a game, you need to find a corp that is trustworthy. You need someone that you can trust, and you need to just listen and ask questions and don't get on people's nerves, because you'll get kicked out of a corp when you bother people a lot. But you need someone that will further progress you along the lines of, hey, if I want to be this, what skills will help? So that's a big aspect of the corporations when you are first starting. It's not really about ISK, it's about learning. And it takes months and months and years to learn everything. And I play with people with 30, 40,000 skill points that will learn something every day, something new. So, the Rubicon update. I think it's Rubicon. Yes, Rubicon. The Rubicon update is going to introduce, from what I read, a new faction, which is going to be the Sisters of Eve ships. So we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but there's going to be a new faction. So when it first comes out, I will try to get a video on it as soon as I can, or whenever I get around to it. But it's going to be pretty cool to have a new faction. There are other factions other than Amargalante, Kaldari, and Mimitar. This is going to be your Navy and Pirate faction. Well, sorry, not Navy faction. Pirate faction, you're going to have, I'm blank. Angel Cartel, which is a Macarial. Your Jovian ships. Your, Sancha ships, Sancha nations. See, Balgorn is a Blood Raider? No. Yeah. But yeah, there's more than just your standard ones, but pirate faction ships are very expensive, and they can be the best. But that is an introduction. If you want to see my Drake fit, here my Navy Drake fit, there's a video already posted. Actually, 2 videos, but one's about the fitting here. I plan to get my Harvey back from my corp mate, and I'll make a video on it, because I actually shield tank it. You can do that with the Navy Harbinger. It has the extra mid slot, so you can actually do it fairly easily and do decent. But that's a tutorial, so basic rules when you first start, set your mind to it, learn, and then force yourself to do it. If you want to say, hey, I want to be a Minmatar, train Minmatar. Only that, only shield tank. And just focus in on that. Instead of what I did when I first started doing mining and industry. And I can sit in a obelisk and do relatively good industry skills, and then turn around and do missions. And currently I do incursions to make money, which is fun, but you get kind of tired of doing incursions all the time. But check out my channel. There's only a couple of the videos, but there is definitely more to come. Peace.